Welcome to Kickin in the Kitchen by the Catalyze podcast. I'm your host, Allyson Horst from the class of 27. I'm joined today in Morehead-Cain Scholar Kitchen by Elizah Liberty from the class of 25 for the second edition of our video series showcasing seniors. So Elizah, what are you drinking today? I know you just made something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just made a coffee and spilled it all over the floor of the kitchen because I put a plastic cup over or under some really hot coffee. So I'm just having this like caramel roast. I just burnt my mouth with it. It's my favorite. It's like the light roast caramel. I think Kate put me onto it, and just with some like brown sugar creamer. That's it.
Yeah. Do you like come by the Scholar Kitchen often, or is this like...
Okay, this was a resolution of my in between GP and coming back for junior year, I was working in Greece, and I sent the Julies an email. I was like, I will be more present in the Scholar Lounge because I was dedicated. Like, for some reason, I just wasn't around enough, in my own opinion, for the first 2 years. And so I was really, really set on showing up more. I'm still not in the kitchen as much as I'd like to be, but I'm definitely around more in my junior and senior years at Carolina.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love like the initiative of it all, and just really recognizing that you're not like here as often, because I think that in itself is like the first step, and then going about it. But like
totally,
even being here today, like you're here, attendance check,
checking my boxes,
for the month.
For sure.
But tell me more about your journey from like Asheville to Morehead-Cain. I'm really interested of like how you first heard of Morehead-Cain.
Yeah. It's a really interesting story, or I don't even know that it's a story, but more just like the culmination of so many different variables and random invisible strings. But so I grew up in Weaverville, North Carolina, which is 15 minutes above Asheville. And I live like pretty close to downtown Asheville now since my mom got married. But I actually grew up on like a 42-acre organic farm with a single mom and my grandmother when she moved in with us after she had a stroke. And so that was, that just set like a childhood of fun and craziness and chaos ablaze for me. Yeah. In a lot of ways, I was always just like barefoot. My hair was never brushed. I was just always like picking kale or carrots out of the ground, dancing, jump roping, like being outdoors a lot. But I don't think my hometown was necessarily aware of the Morehead-Cain. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like a conversation that would be had. I think merit scholarships in general weren't really at the top of anyone's mind, at least in the circles that I was in. And I was in AP classes and I was so involved in my community, but it still wasn't a conversation that was open or I would say consistent throughout the school. And so luckily I joined my mom. Like I said, she worked a couple of jobs while she was single. So she was really, really busy. And so she was getting her master's at the same time. A lot was going on. So I got enrolled in dance class, and I went to this place called Weaverville Dance Academy, and it was so awesome. It was like the tiniest studio you can imagine in the world, tucked just in the like corner of the Appalachian Mountains. Literally you can see the mountains like from around the studio. It's nothing crazy, but like if you drive out, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It was I think there were 2 rooms in it, and a changing room and a bathroom. And it housed so many girls, like all the ballerinas from school were in it, and all the tap dancers and all the jazz dancers. And so I did that. And there was one like shining star of the Weaverville Dance Academy, and it was this girl named Sophie Swift. And Sophie Swift was a scholar. She actually graduated right as I got to Carolina. And she was kind of the first person, since I knew her growing up, who I watched and looked up to. And she was just this bright, shining, like illuminating light always, especially when you're like a little girl and you're like, you know, somebody is a couple years older than you and they're in high school and you're in middle school, you're just obsessed. It's like your main character in life. And Sophie was that for me in a lot of ways. And that's kind of how I found out about the Morehead-Cain in a lot of ways, or was so influenced and enthralled by the idea of it.
That's so beautiful. Do you like still talk to her now?
Oh my gosh, I texted her like 2 weeks ago.
I was so
like,
cool.
I love you.
Like as you should.
I miss you so much. Yeah.
Like,
I haven't seen her in so long. Her younger brother is named Henry Swift, but he also went to Carolina. Yeah. And he was my dance partner. And when I was like 12 years old, we would always get solos together. And he was like the only boy in class in some of our like competitive dance classes. Yeah. Because he was so good. Yeah. And him and I would have solos together, and we were just like attached to the hip in a lot of ways, just during dance. And so he was here, he graduated, and I did his senior portraits, which is so full circle, last year.
That's so amazing.
And so, so much time has passed, and I haven't seen Sophie in forever, but I would say that was kind of like my door in a lot of ways.
And I'm wondering, like, how was that shift from, like, you were literally living on a farm at one point, and now you're in, like, Chapel Hill, where it's, like, kind of hustle and bustle moment. Like, how was that switch for you as, like, a freshman coming in?
Yeah. So I was on the farm for my entire life, leading up to when I was 16 and I lived in downtown-ish Asheville. It's like 7
Yeah.
minutes outside.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it was that big of a shift because I was kind of in like metropolitan Asheville area.
Yeah.
But Asheville's vibes are, at least the vibes I grew up in, so different from Chapel Hill. There's pockets, what I call pockets of Appalachia that are like around and definitely prominent in Chapel Hill, but it's not the same at all. But the transition from there to here, I think one thing was true is that there were just good people who cared about the earth. And I've found that in both places for sure. And really quickly discovered that at Chapel Hill. So it was not really a problem to make that big transition, I guess.
That's so beautiful. It's so funny. When I came to Chapel Hill, I thought it was more like Asheville for some reason.
Really?
I thought like most of North Carolina was mountainous because I've always seen pictures of Asheville. And it was so funny because I was like expecting like big mountains when I came here for like Discovery Weekend. And I was like,
gosh.
So this is like flat. Like what's going on? But
the hill in the name is a lie.
Yeah,
like,
right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. Sometimes people run up Hillsborough and I'm like, that's a trek. That is a big hill.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's so different from the terrain of Asheville. One thing that I was most homesick for was just seeing mountains in the distance.
Right.
My first probably 6 months at Chapel Hill, the main thing that I kept coming back to was like, I can't see the mountains.
Yeah.
But there were so many other things to see, so it was totally fine.
Yeah. And like, okay, so now moving towards your OL, like, did you see mountains then?
Oh
like,
my gosh,
where did you go?
Oh, we were in the North Cascades, and there was actually a fire while we were there. I remember like putting on, I can't remember what that mask is called now because we're so far out of COVID, not in a lot of ways, but it was like this apocalyptic, like orange in the sky, and there was just a lot like going, not wrong, but we had a lot of bumps in the OL, and it didn't remind me of home because I felt like we were more in like chaos than we were in Asheville or like the kind of sanctitude or the chillness of the mountains that I was used to.
Yeah. And was it with like a Morehead group or was it kind of like 2 Moreheads and like some other people?
Yes. I had one other Morehead with me, Lexi Bourne. And then we had 2 other Moreheads incoming class of 25 that were going on the same trip, but they weren't on our specific backpacking and kayaking group. Yeah. So we were like there were definitely Moreheads around and we like had heard names of who had already done the trip and things like that. Yeah. But there was really just 2 of us on that trip. And that was really, really cool. I loved that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, what was your biggest takeaway? Like, if you can remember back to then, like 3 years ago now.
That's such a good question. I guess I didn't know, like another full circle moment. I did Lexi's pictures last week. And so I don't think we like take into account that you could be like backpacking with a complete stranger and you just got this life-changing, it's about to change the whole trajectory of your life, the scholarship. And the first person you meet is also the person that you might kind of wrap up their senior pictures with 4 years later. I don't think you can predict that kind of thing, but it happens. It's so cool.
That's so amazing. Oh my, I'm like, I would have cried. Like, that's so beautiful, that friendship and just seeing that form.
So many of the like seniors that I've been around, especially for their portraits, have been it's been an emotional experience for sure. But OL was great.
Okay, wait, side question from that. But like, who takes your portraits? Because you're the photographer. That's what I was always wondering.
Yeah, okay, so I got pulled on to work for UNC football my sophomore year. I was super lucky. They let me like come out to practice and see if I could get the ropes. And I met the next season another photographer joined named Allyson. She's a videographer too. She's phenomenal. And so we had worked on UNC football together and she did my senior portraits.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Like, do you like give them tweaks? Are you like
no
okay, you just like you're like have at it
because
like,
I think
sort of thing.
My philosophy is like after 4 or 5 years of it, people have their brand, their style, their edit. They're so comfortable with like the curated vibe that their photo or their art gives. You don't mess with that. I think if you're really close friends, it's totally chill to be like, hey, could this saturation look like this or like maybe a preset like this? But I don't think I mess with it personally because I wouldn't want someone to be like, can you change this? I'm like, I've worked so hard.
No, I always wondered like who takes the photos of the photographer themselves? Because like, like if you're the friend that like takes really good photos and then someone else takes photos, you're like, it's not gonna be the same. Like it's that vibe. So I was like, I always wondered.
I'm super picky even about iPhone photos, which I get a lot of, rightfully so. I get a lot of flack for it in the group, but I think I have like very certain expectations and everyone is a little bit afraid of that. So I really am a happy camper with pretty much any photo because I love to edit. So
no, I love that. But tell me more about photography because I feel like this is a big aspect of your life. Like, how did you first get into it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So during COVID, how old was I? My junior year of high school. I had a Nikon D3400. I think that's the name of it. It's a super, super cheap camera now. At the time, it was like a couple $100.
Yeah.
And I was, really happy to have that it was like a tiny little camera bag and it had 2 lenses. And yeah, so I started on that, and I don't even know my first shoot. I think I knew that I wanted to do photography.
Yeah.
And then what ended up happening is there was this Asheville photographer who was a couple years older than me, and he's phenomenal. And I had always seen his work online, and you're like Instagram mutuals or buddies, and kind of just like fantasized at the idea of working with him or under him. And after a couple of like trial run shoots with this really old camera, he reached out to me and he was like, hey, I'm doing a wedding. I would love to contract you as a second shooter.
Wow.
I will pay you this much amount of money and you have to be there for this many hours. And I was like shocked. I looked at the text and then the contract and I was like, there's no way I'm getting paid this much to just click a button.
Yeah.
But I think I was naive in that sense. Like I didn't know, one, how fun it would be, but also how much work, time, and thought goes into the process. And of course I didn't know that at 16 and 17. So I ended up going out to this wedding in Asheville, and it was a success. Like it honestly just felt so fun and easy, and I was inspired to do better and to do well for the couple and to be a part of that ceremony. And after that, it just felt like clients took off. Like I was taking pictures of people in places that I don't even think I knew a camera could open that door for. I think in a lot of ways, my camera has become my ticket to other countries, into places, into rooms that I otherwise wouldn't be at.
Yeah. And UNC football, question mark? Like, how did that come to be?
That's actually such a real question. Oh my gosh. I don't even know. I had never shot sports in my life. I mean, I do know. So there's this phenomenal photographer named Josh Dew. He's a great friend of mine. And he graduated from UNC. Well, he's graduating now, but technically graduated in December. He's amazing. And one thing that I really appreciate about him is, as talented and wicked smart as he is ready to bring everyone else up to his level. He's the kind of person that wants to bring you with him. Yeah. And so I had never shot sports before, but I had a strong portfolio online of my portraiture work. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, any chance you'd want to try this? And I was like, absolutely. Yeah. And he was like, you'll meet the boss, and, the creative team is kind of this like developing phenomenon that we have going on in the program, and maybe you can try it out. And I went to my first practice, and everything that I loved about photography can be applied to football, even though I knew nothing about football at all. I was just on the sidelines, like hoping I knew what direction the ball was going next. And for me, it was all about the expressions and the stories and the faces, and getting to know the teammates and the coaches, and the dynamic and the atmosphere was so fast paced. It's nothing like a wedding. Yeah. I mean, there's that same intensity, but it's so different. Yeah. I would say there's like similar amounts of intensity actually in both settings. But UNC football from sophomore year on has just been this huge part of my fall. I know that every Saturday I'm in Keenan Stadium. Who knows what's going to happen, or what the vibes will be like, or how loud the crowd will be, or if there'll be a fight on the field, or like, the rivalries are crazy. But I think it's been cool to watch how you can have one set of skills and apply it to places that you didn't think you were qualified for. Yeah.
Has there been like a favorite game of yours that you've shot for UNC football?
Oh my God. I really like Duke games. Yeah. Yeah, I really do. Our colors and Duke's colors are super beautiful to edit together, especially when I'm in Lightroom making filters and presets. I love messing with blue and green tints. And so that's kind of my like favorite combo, you could say. Yeah.
What else do you shoot? So you shoot weddings, football. What else is there?
Oh my gosh. My freshman year, I think it was May, whenever exams were freshman year, I had a French exam going on. Yeah. And I got this call from someone in the Morehead community, or someone at Carolina who also had connected to the Morehead community. And they were like, hey, I have a friend of a friend who needs pictures for this magazine to be published. They just set up this brand new space. It's like a tech startup. They have a lot of innovative stuff going on. It's Forbes. It's like, they're young, they're brilliant. Can you do photos for them? And I was like, absolutely. That sounds like my jam. I'd love to meet them. Yeah. And they're like, okay, great. We need it done like tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm like, oh, perfect. Yeah. I have like a French exam. So I get in contact with the guy, and he's like, yeah, so I will fly you there this afternoon, and I will have you back in time for your 9 a.m. French exam the next day. Oh my gosh. He was like, if you can just bring a camera, and like, can you shoot like a building? And I was like, sure. Like, I don't know. I feel like I can shoot anything. Let's try it. And I told him, I was like, I've never really done this before, but would you be down to let me try it? I trusted myself. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So I just my roommates in like e-house store, we were like, what's going on? So we're like stuffing things into suitcases and like packing it up and zipping it up. Like suddenly I'm in RDU, like flying off to New York, and they were awesome. I loved every second of it.
Oh my goodness.
And I passed my French exam. So
awesome.
Everything worked out
a win-win
great.
is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. It was
my gosh.
Busy 16 hours.
Wait, so you're just taking pictures of buildings? Like what was it?
So they had opened up a warehouse. I think they were either debuting it or there was some kind of, the office space was new.
Yeah.
And it was this really exciting project. It was really young people doing really great things. And they just wanted, it was for a magazine on the architectural side, and they just wanted pictures of the building to announce this like exciting company that was launching.
Yeah.
And it was great to be there. I loved it. I'm still in contact with them too, so it's random. Yeah.
That's amazing. And where has this taken you? Like, I know you were mentioning other countries and so forth. Like, how has this been integrated in like maybe your GP or your PE and whatnot?
Okay, yeah. So GP and PE, it's both been a huge part of. So in GP, I knew that I wanted to be in a volunteering PE kind of space. And I had a lot of underdeveloped ideas of what that could look like because I was studying abroad in Florence at the time. So I felt like I was, it was my first time outside of the US. So I'm experiencing a plethora of new things constantly every single day and traveling to all these new countries all the time. And so I knew that I wanted to be abroad, but I don't think I knew what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be invested in some community and some capacity for like 2 months at a time. Yeah. So I ended up getting in contact with this organization in Greece, and they were like, we will place you at a nonprofit or at a local organization when you get here. And I was like, that sounds fantastic. And I had met with one of the Greek like advisors for the program, and she was amazing and was excited to pull me in. And I got there and I thought I was doing one thing. And then they found out that I was really interested in like design and marketing and communication and had this photography portfolio. And they were like, nope, we're moving you here. And this is what you'll do. And it totally changed my entire summer. I was still working for this nonprofit and this woman named Gabriella, who you just talk about having bosses and supervisors whose hearts, they just lead with them. That's the kind of person that I had in my first like internship in a sense abroad. And so I was working for Gabriella and she was amazing. And once I got there, it was really clear to me that I would need kind of media skills more than maybe the other types of jobs or volunteer opportunities that I was signing up for. Like, I don't even know. There were like 7 options that you could do. And they basically curated a like media centered internship that was a bit of like website design, development, social channels, also in the field, also doing community events, also doing internal comm, also like just
everything.
Like everything at once. Yeah. And it helped that the second I met the founder, we're just clicking.
That's amazing.
She's like, I was born in Romania, and then my parents immigrated to Greece when I was this many years old, and this is like the books that I'm reading lately, and this is what I feel passionate about, and this is why I'm 28 and I'm like actually a boss running through like the bureaucracy of nonprofit world and just making so many things happen and bringing on all these international young people to do it too. We had 10 international interns, mostly from France, Turkey, the Canary Islands, Northern Africa, and the US and Canada. So many awesome people from so many places. And she was just like, this is the role that I'm going to give you, and it's going to change every single day. And what do you think about that? And I was like, I think I'm willing to give it a shot and do my best. And that's like how it rolled for the rest of the summer.
I love that motto. I feel like it's like continuous throughout so many things. Like, I'm going to do my best, and like, here I am, and take me as I am. And that's so beautiful. I feel like has to be like a Morehead pillar of some sort. Like, I don't know which one.
It's got to be a common thread, right? I hope so.
Like at this point. But tell me more. So you were in also Madrid, was it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Madrid. Yes. So then for PE summer, I was like, I definitely want to do obviously an internship again. And I had already checked off that kind of internship box with my GP. But because I loved being abroad so much, I wanted to do that again. And so I was in this class where we were building a robot barista.
Oh. Right.
So,
wait, talk about that. I'm like, what's going on?
Okay, let me think. So, the barista is called Brewbot.
Okay.
He's really cute.
Right.
Super mobile. Really loved being a part of his team. It took a really long time to find his name. But basically, it was this Mijo, Hussman, Comp Sci class. And my professor, Professor King, is phenomenal and has robotics company and has worked in dev for a while, and we were just working on a lot of different ideas about product launches. And this guy spoke to our class one day, and his name was Louis, and he worked for the company that I would work for in Madrid in Spain in the summer that was approaching. And he just gave a lot of times speakers come to your class
Mhm.
and you're like excited, but you're like, it's not clicking with me. Like, I'm
Yeah.
happy that you're here, but none of this is like making me want
Yeah.
to jump up right now and go
Mhm.
ask for your phone number and figure out how I can be a part of your company or your
Yeah.
team. This guy was kind of that for me. He was a really good first taste of, he's talking about professional opportunities and creativity within professional opportunities that lights me up, and I'm
Yeah.
ready to pursue that. So he finished his spiel and we were talking about data analytics and consumer profiles, and there were like so many new exciting words that I was kind of on the precipice of in my degree. But I didn't know that there was this whole other world of kind of technology and innovation that was intersecting with Mijo
Yeah.
that had a lot of exciting things coming out of it. And so I went up to him right after class and I was like, hi, I go to Carolina. This is what I've done. This is what I'm interested in. This is what
Yeah.
I'm studying. I have a huge opportunity where I can work anywhere in the world
Yeah.
this summer. I have funding. I have people behind me. I have recommendations. I have professors who will tell you, can you let me be a part of your company in an
Yeah.
international office, anywhere.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my gosh, like, let's try to work something out. Sure.
Yeah.
So we're like on spring break pretty quickly after that. And I'm like emailing and we're in touch. And literally in spring break, I'm like meeting with him. Like, how can I get on these email lists? Like, can you circulate my resume here? What can we do? And he was so helpful. But I got a lot of no's
Yeah.
for a lot of really valid reasons. Like, I'm not an EU resident, or I wouldn't have a visa
Yeah.
in time, or all of
Yeah.
these other things. And then I lost a lot of hope. And on like a final whim, I was like, could we try, one more office in Western Europe? And he was like, sure, because there were a lot of like regulations going on in other places. And so I was like, okay. And he sent my resume around, and almost immediately I got an email from these two women who work in the Spain headquarters. And they're like, hi, we have seen your work with football, UNC football and sports, and we want to talk to you.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was like, what on earth? Because
yeah.
granted, the internships that I'm applying for photography is adjacent, but I'm not applying to be a photographer. Like, that's my own side gig that I'm growing as like a freelance business. This was a little bit out of left field, or maybe what I thought I was applying for. So we get on the phone call and they're not even trying to hire me as a photographer.
Yeah.
They're just like, we love it and we can tell you have creativity like running through your veins. So can we talk to you about our company?
Wow.
And I was like, absolutely. And they were like, do you speak Spanish? And I was like, no, but I will take lessons. So I want to say like the next month, everything was confirmed, everything was set, and I was like headed off to Madrid shortly, a couple weeks after that even.
Wow.
So yeah, and so I was there for May, at the very end of May, and then June, July into August.
Wow.
It was so hot.
I can imagine.
But it was amazing.
Yeah. Did you end up like learning Spanish?
Okay, so my Spanish professor ghosted me. I know.
What do you mean ghosted
I was
you?
so sad. The company like got me connected with this Spanish professor.
Yeah.
There was this organization that they partnered with, and it was super helpful. And I took French during my freshman and sophomore years, and I was like fine at it. I was making fine grades in the class, but very barely conversational. Like when I went to France when I was abroad, I could obviously only like order taxi, order food, and call it a day, and like maybe talk to a stranger if I was feeling really excited. But so yeah, I tried to take Spanish lessons and not much luck. I had a couple good ones, but I think something fell through or some scheduling conflict happened. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it happens. And plus, like, I feel like French is so different than Spanish. You can't even like carry that over. And like, I don't know. It's just like, it's so much to take in for 1 month. But did you end up learning some like when you were there?
Honestly, just for grocery store. There was this tiny market below my apartment in Chueca, and I would just always speak to them in the most broken Spanish. And one time I asked them, I was like, probably it sounded so foul, but I was like, can you understand my broken Spanish? And they were like, actually, sí. And I was like, thank you. This is really bad. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wait, so what did you like the overall picture of like, what did you do while you're in Madrid? And what were your roles and responsibilities there?
So I worked for a global marketing firm and creative agency, and they do a lot with AI development. They do creative ads and experiential ads. They do data analytics. Basically, when you walk into the office and you look onto the floor and there's these massive, just like white walls with huge glass windows and skylights pouring through. When you look at each of the tables, everyone has a different craft.
Yeah.
There are people working in data analytics in the top right corner. There's people working on the Google or Intel account. And the other right corner, there's people working on sports and BMW and car manufacturing. And then you go upstairs and there's IT, which I loved IT. I would always hang out with them.
Yeah.
And so there was just everything. It was kind of a jack of all trades kind of job. I got specifically placed with the Under Armour account
Oh, wow.
And Under Armour had not just launched, but they had started an initiative called Lead Next. And essentially they give the opportunity to young people and honestly from a lot of different neighborhoods and backgrounds all throughout London, the opportunity to try out for the Premier League. They give them scholarships, kits, coaches, facilities, resources. They get to train with Premier League players. And so I was in a time when we were working with an Arsenal player who was working on the account, not on the account, but on the brand as well. And so it was super fun. I mean, it was just like every single day was something new. We get a creative brief and we'd be with client relations, and we worked client relations with the London office because we were super, super tied to, we were in Madrid, but obviously like there was so much crazy stuff with football happening at the time. But we were also super close with the London office because that's where everything was kind of being headed. That's where the facilities were. That's where the kids were. And so it was awesome. It was a kind of social impact cross with corporate sports world that I hadn't been in yet. And I loved it. And every day looked different. Yeah.
It's so interesting because you're like, I'm not a sports person. Right. But it like follows you like a little bit everywhere.
It shouldn't. I need to like be stopped.
I love that.
Stopped.
No. And did you just recently fly to Japan? Because I know you're working on like a documentary of sorts.
Yes.
I'm really interested to hear about like how that became
the background and so forth. Is backgrounding. Yes. So in December, I flew to Japan, to Tokyo and Hiroshima to film a short documentary. And it had kind of been this continuation of an honors research project that I had been doing through an Honors Carolina seminar. And I was writing this massive paper through the months of like September, October, November, and December. And honestly, the theme seems a bit abstract to a lot of people, but once I explain it, you get into it more. It's about hopefully finding the long-term connections of grief and food, specifically in the Eastern world. And at first, when I decided that was the concept of my paper, I wasn't totally sure that I would find super concrete, cold, hard research to back it up, but there were case studies everywhere. There was this set of 7 Polish women who were, when they were being dislocated and they were moving all across Europe and into Africa, they really wanted to preserve this one thing, which was this bread recipe. And it was so cool to watch because, well, not even watch, but read all of the research around them, because there were already people in the last 30 years that kind of had a similar idea that I did, which when people are going through catastrophic pain and devastation and hardship, does food play an integral role in healing and keeping people together and maintaining community and maybe even cultural preservation? And that's what the research that I found told me. So I wrote this really long for me paper, because I'm a husband girl, so we don't write as many papers anymore. And it was life-changing. Just writing the paper felt life-changing, to devote that much time into a concept that felt foreign to me. And I'm not a food expert, and I'm also certainly not a grief expert, but have experienced versions of each in my life. It was exciting. It was fun. And when I finished the paper, I'd learned so much, and it just felt like a huge section of it kept coming back to this specific type of food called okonomiyaki, which is found post-World War II, specifically in Japan after the atomic bombing. And so a huge section and amount of my time in the library had just been figuring out, hearing testimonies and pulling in different things that have been published in the last 80 years. And so I got the opportunity through a Lovelace Fund for Discovery to go out to Hiroshima and interview people who had survived and maintained this sense of food and belonging in their communities for so many years. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. It was incredible.
So you came with like your camera, and you're like essentially like talking to these people. Like, how did you like get into these communities? How did you get in contact with these people? And like, how did you get them to trust you too with these like really difficult conversations?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Such a great question. So after the paper was wrapped up, I had gotten the abstract and kind of a, good idea of what the paper was going to look like and the flow of it, confirmed, reviewed, and just approved by people. And then my roommate and I were talking about it, and her grandmother lives in Japan. And there's also this Obon festival. There's so many like ties that come into this. Sorry, bear with me. But there's an Obon festival that happens in Japan that also like honors the dead, grieves, has a ton of cultural food happening. And so I was really interested in that as well. And she was telling me that like her grandmother could probably speak more about this, and like what would her opinions about a piece like this or the research that I'm finding be. And so once we started conversations like that, we took my abstract and we sent it to, there's a program at Stanford, and there's a wonderful, wonderful man there who has connections in Japan and at Waseda University and also in the United States, who focuses on food and cultural preservation and so many amazing things. Their program is so vast. Yeah. And so we started sending it out to people being like, what would you think about this? And do you have connections that we could talk to and stories that we could learn from in this case? And the answer was yes, in a lot of ways. And that was, I don't know that I was shocked by it, but I was definitely like surprised about how many people just gave the yes right at the get-go. And so, after we sent it to a couple of people and got those yeses, I started like pulling together a plan. Like, what could an agenda look like? And who are the people we want to talk to, the museums that we want to go through? How can we make sure we're coming with as much background and comprehension as possible before you're like on the ground? Yeah. But it also feels like, for me, I could write and write and write forever, but until you're face to face with someone, you really don't know as much as you could. Yeah. And so that was kind of the theme and the driving force of this trip. So we ended up going out there. I have another videographer friend and CFA and Carolina Film Association who's super passionate about the project and food and short films and short docs. And it was just so amazing. And so many people had ties to Japan. And so I was just thrilled about the idea. So we ended up having the Nobel Peace Prize winner from 2024, Mr. Mimaki, agree to an interview.
Oh my gosh.
And he's dedicated genuinely his entire life to working for advocating for a nuclear-free world. And that was probably that is the highlight of a trip like that. You just never, I don't think I went into the project knowing that would be a person that we would get to talk to and just be in their home, learning from them, seeing their documents and their letters and their old pictures and their digital cameras, and just being in their presence of someone who's experienced that much and also has so much under their belt and so much knowledge about things that we don't really understand is, life-changing is the word. I'll say it over and over again because it's true.
I feel like another common theme, I keep thinking this, like you're stepping into these places and like areas that are very unfamiliar to you, but you're doing it with confidence and you're doing it like, I'm gonna like be there and it's gonna happen
as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's like a beautiful thing. But like I guess what I'm asking is like, how did you learn in the confidence to do all of this in that sense?
Learn the confidence. I think in a lot of ways, confidence just shows up when I show up, if that makes sense.
I love that.
You don't have a choice. If you're with the Nobel Peace Prize laureate and you're in their home and they've agreed to give you even 10 minutes of their time, you have to be ready to go. You don't have another choice to just kind of be like in the corner, scared or shaky, which I would totally do given other circumstances. No, you have to be like, hi, this is who I am. This is what I study. Thank you so much. We can't even articulate our gratitude. This is what we want to know. Could you share anything? And just set up the cameras, learn as much as you can beforehand and go for it. Yeah. And I think most of the times that's just the only way that you really learn anything is by being in the field and having your feet on the ground. Or that's beautiful.
That's amazing. I mean, obviously, like case in point, that's like for so many things in your life. That's so amazing. Yeah. But I'm also interested. So you're graduating soon.
Oh my gosh.
And we hate to see it, honestly. Like I'm really sad.
I'm like
you're not
shutting my eyes.
Like stop. No, it's not real. It's not real. Yeah. But like, what are your plans after graduation? You probably get that so often. Like, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm so like smiley about it. I'm so sad to leave Carolina. And I think that's a type of longing. Like, I think I'll miss this place for so many years to come. But I also think 4 years is an exceptional amount of time to make connections and relationships with the people and things that you love that can last forever. Yeah. And I'm really excited to bring kind of the things that I've been so close to at Carolina into my world post-grad. Yeah. So that's really sad, but there's hope that things will, still be super connected and always feel like Carolina in some ways. But I'm currently looking at a couple different positions and ideas. I can't talk a lot about them.
No, sorry.
But just exploring a lot of options, kind of dipping my toe into what it would be like to live this life when I'm 22 versus like on the other side of the country versus in a completely different work environment and with a different type of mentor, boss, and person, and kind of figuring out, I feel like my tool set and my interests aren't spread, but they're definitely multifaceted and they're going a lot of different directions at once. So I'm letting myself pursue one kind of in each big bucket. Yeah. And so we will see where that lands me soon.
That's so exciting.
Yes, I'm really excited
Yeah.
to find out, and I'll keep you updated.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. No, that's amazing.
But
I'll
yeah.
get the exclusive.
Yes.
Like, that or I'll just see it on
Director's
LinkedIn or
cut.
something. Like, I'm excited.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
But with the few weeks that you have left, do you have like a bucket list of sorts? Like, are there a few things that you're like, I need to do this before I go?
That's such a good question. I think being as like obnoxiously senior as possible, there's a reason they give us a whole week to like climb the bell tower, bark off, like go to prom, go to the Dean Dome, take pictures with all your friends. It is so extravagant and busy and chaotic is that same operative word that keeps coming up because it just is. Yeah. So many people are feeling so many different things. And I think just doing all of it, all of the like, even the things that feel like cheesy or we've done them 1,000 times, that's all I'm going to be streamlining for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks left because you don't get time like this again.
Right.
And there's no point doing anything else but like being here and being with the people that have made this place what it is.
That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
I'm sad.
Wait, I don't want to end on the sad note.
but it's also beautiful. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate you sharing your story, but thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Yay, that was fun.
Yay. Thank you for listening to Catalyze. This is Kickin in the Kitchen. I'm your host, Allyson Horst, and that was Elizah Liberty from the class of 25. Check out the rest of the Kickin in the Kitchen series on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast.